Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. Monthly Report. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
Welcome back to this week's National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana Monthly Report. And I am acting host today for our host, Lee Martin. And our special guest today is Lee Martin. How are you today, Lee?
I'm doing fantastic, and I guess I'm subbing in as a guest, huh?
Oh, yes, you are the guest. And today's show is going to be a little bit different, but we're first going to talk about NFB Newsline and its services.
Yeah, great services.
Now, the National Federation of the Blind Newsline is a free service for the blind, visually impaired, which gives access to newspapers, magazines, TV guide listings, Walmart Target circulars. It also has breaking news. It populates during the day, and basically it's a fantastic service. It also has magazines, and I'm going to talk a little bit about magazines when we come back. But I just want to welcome you today. I think you're in for a treat.
Thousands of Indiana residents feel isolated from the world due to vision problems. Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm blind. I read Stars and Stripes on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I use NFB Newsline when reading Hammond Northwest Times.
Using NFB Newsline, I read the Christian Science magazine.
Dad, you read Jerusalem Post, too.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Live the life you want. Read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the show. And as I mentioned, you are definitely in for a treat today as we introduce to you the host of National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana Monthly Report, Lee Martin. And I will be interviewing Mr. Martin on request of some of our viewers. So again, Lee Martin, how are you?
I am doing fine, and thanks for welcoming me to the show.
Well, Lee, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Well, Lee, now I know that you are familiar with NFB Newsline.
Yes, what a fantastic service. I really have enjoyed the service, the free service, and as a coordinator for the service itself in the state of Indiana, this has been a great opportunity to reach out to individuals that never had the opportunity before to actually read newspapers, magazines. I can pick up and read 460 different newspapers across the country. I can create my own favorites and create my own sections of the newspaper, like I like sports. And I follow a multitude of teams in sports, and I just go straight to the sports section. anywhere in the country. Like Philadelphia Eagles just won the World Championship. I was able to go to Philadelphia newspaper and just go straight to sports and start reading what those writers out there are reading and writing about. You know, if I want to go to LA and see about what the Lakers are doing or what the Clippers, I'm into basketball, and I can read that. Or there's something going on in hockey, like the young hockey star and African-American hockey star that just been put on the Olympic team for the Winter Olympics. To follow him, and I can do those things just by using my landline phone, or even by using my Apple devices. And those are the devices that I use, along with the Victor Reader Stream. So I can do that 24/7. And it's nothing that's ever been done like this before in the history of blind readers, having independence to read what you want to read 24/7. I just love it, and then with the job listings that are on there, anybody can search for, create your own profile. You can put in a zip code anywhere in the country and have that profile searched in that zip code area for the type of employment that you're seeking. Students that come to me about how they like it for current events, and how you can put in a search phrase and search out different events that you're looking for, different things that we love to do as citizens that we're looking at. If you're looking for a menu from somewhere, or meals, or if you're just looking to find out historical interests, you can do that just by having this free service. Here in Indiana, I like reading the Indianapolis Star, the Indianapolis Recorder, the Indianapolis Business Journal, the Indianapolis Monthly. I tell you, there's so much to read and to keep abreast of, that even being blind, it doesn't. It's not a problem to know what's going on in my city, what's going on in my community, what's going on in legislation. So there's so much to read and ascertain from this fantastic service.
And another thing I like about it, Lee, is that it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So some of those nights when you might be a little restless and can't sleep, you can pick up your phone or your Victor Reader and.
Let me share a story with you, since you mentioned that. There was a period in time with the obituaries. Oftentimes, I'm from the city of Muncie, Indiana, graduated from Muncie Central, but I went to church in Muncie. I went to Union Baptist Church there in Muncie, Indiana, and I had a great Sunday school teacher. She passed away, but I had no word about it from anyone in Muncie. And it just happened to be one late night, I couldn't sleep. So I said, let me check the obituaries. Picked up my phone, listened to the voice. It's a human voice that we have. And I listened to that particular voice. And as she was going through the obituaries, her name appeared. And I was shocked, first of all, to know that one of my favorite Sunday school teachers had passed away. And I was able to attend her services just because I had that free service of the National Federation of the Blind. I was able to go into the obituaries and read. Now, there's a plethora of names in the obits. The obits is one of the most popular sections of the newspapers that is read. So you don't have to listen to each and every name. You can just swipe across to go to the next name, or swipe across or to go to the next article. So you don't have to sit and listen to each and every article. You just have choice and independence as to where you want to go and listen to and what you want to listen to. And one of the other beauties of that is that I was able to save that obituary. I was able to take it from text to print by pressing *9 on my telephone keypad or swiping across to save it. And I was able to save that article along with the other articles that I save on my computer in my inbox so that I'll have that forever. I can go back and reflect.
Okay, and we all know, well, I do, that it is a great service. And a lot of people don't know about the service, and that's why we do what we do, to introduce the service to the community, because it is such a fantastic service.
And you know, within Indiana, we have over 166,000 citizens that they're blind, and the service is open to not just the blind and visually impaired, but those that have print challenges such as dyslexia and the shaking hand syndrome and things of that nature.
All right. Now with that, what we're going to do, it is a fantastic service. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
I am a blind vendor, and one of the things that I truly miss is reading Vending Times magazine.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
It is a fantastic service.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana Monthly Report. And we have as a special guest today, the host, Lee Martin. And Lee, I have a series of questions I'd like to ask you about you, Lee Martin, about not just the host, but as Lee Martin, perhaps maybe I would even say your walk, your journey with blindness. And first I'd like to know just a little bit about you. Let's start with, you said that you're from Muncie, Indiana. And were you born in Muncie?
Yes, I was born in Muncie. First of all, I'd like to say, you know, there's so many people that, you know, kind of requested this, and, you know, it kind of, it's challenging for me to talk about Lee. My life and my walk is a little different sometimes than what I expected it to be. But God has carried me a long way as I've grown to know in this journey. And I'm so humbled and appreciative of all of this journey. I was born in Muncie, Indiana. I was adopted at the age of 4 years old to a family of Edward Thomas Cole and Rosa Lee Cole. They were seniors at the time. And I say that because there's a number of children out here that need to be adopted. The adoption program is one that is on our state legislatures, you know, trying to get additional funding for those families that reach out and adopt children. But I was adopted into a hard-working Christian home. And being adopted at that age, along with my brother, Albert, who's now deceased, and my other siblings were placed into different homes. But all in Muncie, and they kept our family together. So, I went to Longfellow High School on the east side of Muncie. And growing up, just like any other kid, I had fun and got in trouble and did some of everything that kids do. And growing up through grade school, through middle school, and then high school, the revelation of life was being planned for me. Being in church at the Union Baptist Church in Muncie. It had a profound effect on my walk of life as my life progressed, and the work ethic that was placed into me, and the spirit of our Heavenly Father was placed into me for my walk, for my challenges. And I've been saved a number of times from situations that should have been my demise. Like I said, being adopted and put into that situation, that was a blessing of being saved.
Now, and I believe that, this journey that we walk is already a part of a master plan. What do you think?
Well, I just had to take you back to what my mother said, my foster mother said. One day when I was saying, Mom, you've come a long way. And she passed away at 102. 102. She adopted us as a senior, and she passed away at 102 years old. And it was in her late 90s when I mentioned that to her. I said, the Lord has brought you a long way. And she says, no, He has carried me a long way. And I adopted that, because He's carried me a long way. He's carried me through my stubbornness. He's carried me through my lackadaisicalness. He's covered me through and carried me through so many trials when maybe I didn't treat someone so fairly, And he's carried me through a war. I was my Vietnam veteran. And then he carried me back to my birth mom. I had the opportunity to meet her and share and laugh with her and, just find the love that she had as well. And then he carried me through the transition of blindness.
Okay. All right, blindness. Now, so you mentioned that you were in Vietnam. Did you lose your sight in Vietnam?
No, I did not lose my sight in Vietnam. I noticed that I did have a few symptoms, but being a young buck at that time, I've been paying attention to some of the changing sight that I was having at the time in my vision. And I would like to say that, anyone out there that's watching or listening to this program, if you have changes in your sight, get yourself checked, because you never know what it'll lead to, or how you might be able to avert some conditions. But I developed scleritis in my eyes, which basically was an inflammation, and the inflammation deteriorated my retinas, and therefore, without retinas, you lose your sight. I couldn't see. My retinas turned in like wet tissue paper. And so my retinas was destroyed, thus went my sight.
Okay, now, when did you lose your sight?
I lost my sight in the summer of 1999. Yep, it was June 30th of 1999 when I finally lost my sight. I had worked a number of jobs. Matter of fact, the very first real job that I had as far as getting paid with a paycheck was with the Muncie Star as a newspaper carrier. But then again, like I said, I come from a hard-working family of labor. I worked with my father with one of his businesses throughout the city of Muncie, Indiana.
And so with the, you losing your sight in 1999, I'm going to ask you something, and if it makes you uncomfortable, just let me know. After losing your sight, or let's say, what would you consider your hardest point of vision change? I'll put it like that.
Well, sight loss. They can go really deep because you go through different stages, I feel. In my situation, I can only speak for the things that I've been through. But for my situation, when I tried to hide my sight for a minute, you know, the sight loss, and from my understanding, that's what, you know, humans do. We try to hide things, and but losing, when I finally ended up losing all my sight, I mean, I kind of, you know, as you say, fake it till you make it. And I drove till I couldn't drive anymore. I call that the Maxwell House coffee theory. As you know, that old commercial would say, good to the last drop. Well, I drove to the last drop of sight that I could have before I just could not. I said, well, this is dangerous, and I could not see anymore.
Okay.
It's like coming out of a shower that's full of fog and steam, and I could not see. And how I made it from my car back to my apartment door at that time, I do not know, and I could not tell you how I got out of that vehicle and made it that far to my door and opened my door and succumbed to sight loss.
Okay, well, I'm gonna turn this back around. Okay, that was your hardest point. But what would you say your most victorious point has been since losing your sight?
You know, I say, you know, your journey sometimes leads you to places that you never even dreamed of. I remember calling my mom up and telling her that I had lost my sight. The first thing she said to me was, well, that's God's plan. No hesitation whatsoever, that's God's plan. And that I didn't raise you to be a weakling. I raised you to grow up and be a man. So follow God's plan. And that's what I've been trying to do. I have met people on this journey that I would never, ever have had the opportunity to meet. Some very great people, people that have been disenfranchised. If you ask yourself, or most Americans ask themselves, have you really ever met a blind person? Have you ever really sit down and spoken with a blind person? Most people would tell you no. And that's what I would say. No, I hadn't. But there was a gentleman in our community that came to me as like an angel of spirit. He came to me, Mr. Odell Taylor Jr. He would walk around our community just as proud. I can see him even now in my mind, just how proud he was. And he owned a business. And that was back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. And he owned his own business, totally blind.
Totally blind.
Totally blind. And I finally had a chance to meet him at my mother's house some years after I lost my sight. And we sit there and we had a great conversation. And just to let him know that, Mr. Taylor, you and your spirit, your presence, seeing you being a astute and proud man, I was able to overcome my adversity with blindness. And so that particular day that I met him, I said, I'm gonna bring him a gift. I brought him a gift. And I said, Mr. Taylor, I brought you a gift. He said, well, I brought you a gift. And I gave him my gift, which was a gold-plated talking watch. And he passed me my gift, which was a silver-plated talking watch. So if you look at the Olympics, gold is first place, silver is second place. How fitting.
How fitting.
And my mother sat there on the porch, and she says, Lord, if I wasn't here to see this, I wouldn't believe it. And, you know, just passing the torches like that. And but to meet people like yourself, I probably would have never met you. I probably would have never met anyone here at this WHMB 40. I never dreamed or dreamt that I would be doing the things that I'm doing. Being a member of the National Federation of the Blind is probably one of the greatest gifts that came to me.
Wow.
Going through the Blinded Veterans Training Program in Chicago, Illinois, I never would have dreamt of doing anything like that. Getting the confidence to be an independent citizen. And then having a marriage, you know, meeting someone that would marry me in these conditions, you know, those are things that, you know, life still goes on.
It does.
And it's a plan that you have, you know, in this journey. And I'm just so humbled and thankful for all of that. And, you know, for my family and particularly for my friends within the Federation, to lead and guide me, to help other people overcome their trials and triumphs. You know, it's just great, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, that's some of the. I never thought I would be promoting a program with the technology that we have today, such as the National Federation of the Blind Newsline. I never thought I would coordinate that. And I never thought I would be on as a host on any type of television show.
And with that, that is Mr. Lee Martin, the host of the National Federation of the Blind. Newsline Indiana Monthly Report. And we'd like to thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline. Experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
Because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
The National Federation of the Blind Indiana Monthly Report. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 317-205-9226. That's 317-205-9226. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.